Captain said we are dead, until a woman passenger revealed her fighter pilot passed. At 10,000 meters above the Atlantic, the cabin lights flickered once and settled into an uneasy glow. The airplane, Flight 917, had been cruising smoothly for hours, the kind of flight where time stretched thin and passengers surrendered to movies, naps, and the hum of engines. Then the sound changed. It wasn't loud. It was worse than that. A hollow silence replaced the steady roar on the left side, like a breath held too long. Captain Richard Hale felt it through the controls before the alarms screamed. His hands tightened on the yoke as warning lights bloomed across the panel. Engine 2, flame out. The co-pilot, Mark Rivera, scanned the instruments, his voice sharp but controlled. Engine 2 failure. Attempting restart. Hale nodded, running the checklist from muscle memory. Fuel flow. Ignition. Restart sequence. Nothing. The engine refused to come back to life. Then another alarm. Hydraulic pressure dropped. The aircraft shuddered, dipping slightly before Hale corrected. Rivera swallowed. Captain, we've lost primary hydraulics on the left. Control response is degrading. Hale exhaled slowly. He had flown for 30 years, through storms and near misses, but something about this cascade felt different, heavier. He ran the numbers in his head. One engine at this altitude, damaged hydraulics, and worsening weather ahead. He pressed the intercom button, hesitating just a fraction before speaking. Ladies and gentlemen, this is your captain speaking. We're experiencing a technical issue. Please remain seated and follow the crew's instructions. He released the button and looked at Rivera. Prepare the cabin. We might need to divert. Before Rivera could answer, another warning chimed, secondary systems failing. The plane lurched again, more violently this time. Hale made a decision he had never wanted to make. He keyed the intercom again, his voice steady but stripped of comfort. Cabin crew, this is the captain. Brace procedures. Passengers, we are facing a serious emergency. The words hung in the cockpit like smoke. In the cabin, fear spread fast. Conversations died. A child began to cry. Oxygen masks did not deploy, but the tension felt just as suffocating. In seat 24A, a woman in her late 30s looked up from the window. She had been watching the clouds earlier, tracing old habits she thought she'd buried. Her name was Elena Ward. Her posture straightened, eyes sharp, listening, not to the panic, but to the aircraft itself. She felt the vibration pattern. The asymmetrical drag. The subtle yaw to the left. Elena unbuckled and stood as a flight attendant hurried past. "Ma'am, please sit down," the attendant said, voice shaking. Elena met her eyes. "I need to speak to the captain. Now." "I'm sorry, that's not. I flew fighters for 12 years, Elena said calmly. "This plane is flying like it's compensating manually. He needs help." The attendant froze, caught between protocol and desperation. Another jolt rocked the cabin, stronger than before. "Please," Elena added. "Every second matters." Moments later, Elena was escorted toward the cockpit, the murmurs of passengers following her like a wave. Inside, Hale and Rivera were fighting the aircraft. Control inputs lagged. Altitude was bleeding away faster than expected. The cockpit door opened. "Captain," the attendant said, "this passenger insists." "I'm Elena Ward," she said, stepping forward without hesitation. "Former fighter pilot. I recognize the control loss pattern. You've got asymmetric thrust and partial hydraulics. You're overcorrecting." Hale stared at her for half a second too long. "This is not the time." "Sir," Elena cut in, respectful but firm, "if you keep trimming like that, you'll stall the right wing when you hit turbulence. Let me help." Rivera glanced at Hale. The instruments dipped again, proving her point. Hale swallowed his pride. "Fine. What do you suggest?" Elena leaned over the panel, not touching, just observing. Reduce right engine thrust slightly. Use differential thrust instead of aileron input. Treat it like a dead stick approach, but with limited power. Rivera adjusted. The aircraft steadied, just a little, but enough. Good, Elena said. Now descend gradually. Don't fight the nose. Let gravity work. Hale followed her guidance. The plane stopped shuddering. The alarms didn't disappear, but they softened, less frantic. Outside, clouds thickened. Rain streaked the windshield. We won't make the nearest airport, Rivera said quietly. There's a military airstrip 50 kilometers south, Elena replied. Short runway, but long enough if you come in hot and dump speed late. Hale frowned. That strip isn't certified for civilian. It's certified for emergencies, Elena said. I landed there with no landing gear once. Silence. Then Hale nodded. Rivera, set course. The descent was the longest 30 minutes of everyone's life. In the cabin, passengers gripped armrests, whispered prayers, held hands with strangers. The flight attendants moved with purpose now, voices stronger, because hope had returned, even if they didn't know why. In the cockpit, Elena talked constantly, her voice cutting through tension like a blade. Angle of attack steady. Don't chase the glide path. Trust the plane. The runway appeared through the rain, short, dark, unforgiving. Gear down, Hale said. A pause. Gear partially deployed, Rivera reported. Elena didn't flinch. That's enough. Keep it straight. Commit. The wheels hit hard. The aircraft bounced once, twice, screaming in protest, then settled. Reverse thrust roared. The end of the runway rushed closer. And stopped. The plane rolled to a halt meters from the barrier. For a moment, there was no sound at all. Then cheering erupted from the cabin, raw, broken, grateful. Hale leaned back, hands shaking. He looked at Elena, eyes wet. You saved us. Elena shook her head softly. You flew it. I just reminded you what you already knew. As emergency crews surrounded the aircraft, passengers disembarked into the rain, many pausing to hug the woman from seat 24A, the stranger who turned a final goodbye into a second chance. Elena stepped off last, looking once more at the plane silhouetted against the storm. She hadn't flown a fighter in years, but the sky, it seemed, hadn't forgotten her. And neither would the 146 lives that went home because one woman stood up when a captain said, "We are dead."